For the second time in 4 years, the Kansas City Chiefs are champions of the NFL world. The Kansas City Chiefs last night, of course, defeating the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35 to claim their second Super Bowl win in 4 years. Welcome to the Papa Schro Knows podcast. What a weekend in Kansas City we have had. It's been a fun weekend. It was a fun day yesterday, great day, great game, back and forth, very close, and this episode right here just going to be pretty much a reaction to the game. I'm not going to get too deep into anything other than the officiating for a minute, just because I have some views on that one, as of course, you know, a lot of the NFL world of losers think that we get a bunch of help from the officials to win games, or they're winning games for us. So anyways, I'm going to speak on that, but enough of that stuff for now. Right here to just start this show, I just want to talk about how awesome this is to see the Chiefs again winning another Super Bowl. Had an awesome day, awesome game. So when we won the Super Bowl the first time, I had just had my daughter. She was not even a year old, and so for this one, she'll be turning 4 next month. So it's awesome to get to experience that with her. She's up jumping around and, you know, hanging out with us and getting excited. And, you know, boy, she was excited when we won the Super Bowl at the end of the game. We all huddled up together watching Harrison Butker's kick to win the game. So just an awesome experience, and from a dad point of view, is a pretty dope event. Just to be able to share that. And I can remember watching the 2006 World Series with my dad, and you know, obviously I was a lot older than she was for this game, but you know, it's just a special experience getting to enjoy that with, you know, the people that are passing that on down to you, of the fan lineage and stuff. And you know, sports runs deep in my family, so just an awesome game. I can't lie. I mean, I was nervous at the end of the first half, maybe a little bit in the third quarter. It felt a lot like the 49ers game, I feel. Just the way the flow of the game went, to where all of a sudden we turned it around big time, and then you know, we couldn't be stopped, essentially, it felt like. The Kansas City Chiefs defense, they did enough. They didn't have a great night last night, but they did do enough. And that defense, man, all year, just hats off to that defense. Everybody on that defense, hats off to him. Leo Chanel played a hell of a ball game. And Nick Bolton, how about Nick Bolton? I mean, he may be the story of the defense last night. Defensive line couldn't get a lot of pressure. But how about the Eagles? 0 sacks. I think it was 7 pressures on Mahomes that they got. Didn't have a good night. That Eagles defense did not have a good night. They did not play the kind of game that they wanted to play to be able to win this football game. And I mean, that's all we heard about all week. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was nervous, especially after the Tampa Bay Super Bowl. You know, just having those memories kind of in your head of watching Pat run around, can't find anybody, and, you know, just getting chased the whole game, harassed in the backfield. So I was, you know, I'm not going to lie, like I wasn't worried about that a little bit. I am a little proud of my prediction, though. How about 31-28? I had it a 3-point game. Ended up being 38-35, so 7 points more for both sides than what I predicted originally. But I knew it was going to be a close game. Had a really good feeling it was going to be a really close game, and that we were going to see, you know, a real back and forth matchup between these two teams. I feel like they're very evenly matched, you know, 1 and 2 and everything up in the trenches, really. And, you know, I just figured it was going to be a very close game. And I thought the Chiefs would pull ahead at some point and get out in front. But nevertheless, they kind of did that to a point. There at the end of the game when they went up, I want to say, 35-27. So, but the Eagles were able to, you know, do their thing. They had that bomb to Devontae Smith they got over, and I mean, the Chiefs couldn't stop them on the short yardage plays. I mean, it was definitely frustrating to watch them over and over, just converting. Every 4th and inches, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2. Every time it seemed like the Eagles, the Chiefs just didn't stand a chance. And how low that Eagles offensive line was getting was just absolutely ridiculous. They just looked like they were crawling on the ground on those plays, essentially, and just moving the Chiefs' defensive line. Just a testament to how good that Eagles offensive line is, especially in those short yardage situations like that. Just to kind of get a quick recap of the stats and kind of how everybody panned out on the board afterwards. Isaiah Pacheco, man, shout out to him. 15 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Average 5.1 in this game. I mean, again, just absolutely amazing performance from Isaiah Pacheco for the Kansas City Chiefs. He showed up when they needed him, and just like one of my big keys to the game was to run the ball efficiently. And the Chiefs ran the ball efficiently when they absolutely had to. Patrick Mahomes also put up 44 yards on 6 carries. Jet McKinnon, 4 carries for 34 yards. Sky Moore had the 1 for 4 yards. And how about Sky Moore? I can't say enough about Sky Moore. I mean, that kid is so perseverant. To go through the season the way it was, the punt return game, how the fumbles, muffed punts, it was just a bad time for Sky Moore a lot of the season. He stuck through it, stayed true, and they were able to work him into the game plan. And I think that he's definitely a very good piece to this team moving forward, and we'll see how they decide to use him next year, and probably a lot more into the offense. He did have 1 catch for 4 yards that went for 6 points. Big play. Similar to the Kadarius Toney touchdown as well. Toney just had the 1 catch for 5 yards. But that motion at the end of the game where they, sent the motion out, or I think it was inward and towards the line, or, towards the ball. And then as they hiked the ball, Toney and Moore both just cut the opposite direction and went back to where they originally were, and no one was there. I mean, that just absolutely destroyed the Eagles' defense 2 different times in that game. I think at least one more time they used kind of that same motion to get a guy open towards the middle of the field. I can't remember exactly. I haven't watched the game back yet or anything like that. So that was amazing. I mean, Andy Reid was just on another level in the play calling department last night. And just an amazing night. Travis Kelce, another big night. 6 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Amazing night. Juju Smith-Schuster, again, huge night. 7 catches for 53 yards. I don't want to get too much into the offseason or anything. We'll probably do that here in a couple weeks, barring any huge news, or in next week or so. I don't know. We're going to enjoy the Super Bowl victory before we get into the offseason. But Juju Smith-Schuster, I mean, he is an integral part of this offense, I think. And he got busy Sunday night. 7 catches, 53 yards. I mean, great night. MVS, notable for not catching a single pass out there, which, I think he took a lot of what Juju was doing for the AFC Championship game. I think MVS will forever remember that performance against the Bengals by MVS. So MVS has kind of grown on me late here in the playoffs, but we'll see moving forward what we get out of Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Of course, Super Bowl MVP, Patrick Mahomes, 21 of 27, just 6 incompletions, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns. And, it's awesome to kind of see these games where it's like Patrick doesn't even have to put up that 300-some yard performance. Give me a $182 and give me 3 touchdowns, and I'll win you a Super Bowl. Pretty awesome. Nick Bolton, as I said, 8 tackles. He had the fumble recovery for a touchdown that was just an amazing play. Had my whole living room jumping. We were excited on that one. The 1 sack coming from Colin Saunders, who chased Jalen Hurts out of bounds for a loss on that play. So not really much of a sack, but hey, the Chiefs got to the quarterback and the Eagles did not. So the Chiefs just outplaying the Eagles, I felt like, at certain points in this game. In the second half, obviously. The first half just little rough, but, they planted the seeds of what they needed to do. And they held the Eagles' ground game in check. Kenneth Gainwell, 7 for 21. Miles Sanders, 7 for 16. Boston Scott 3 for 8. They held these guys in check. Now, Jalen Hurts, 15 carries, 70 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, now, if the Eagles would have won this game, Jalen Hurts is MVP all day. Jalen Hurts, 27 of 38, 304 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts was phenomenal in this game. You can't say enough about Jalen Hurts. He played his heart out. Devontae Smith, 7 catches for 100 yards. A.J. Brown, 6 catches, 96 yards. But who I was most impressed with, really, was Dallas Goedert. 6 catches, 60 yards. The man just would not be denied on some of the catches that he had. And was just absolutely amazing to watch out there. I can say that retrospectively now because I really hated him last night. I couldn't stand Dallas Goedert because just the things that he was doing. Total yard-wise, the Eagles did edge the Chiefs 417 to 340. The yards per play, though, the Chiefs were getting just about 6.5 yards per play. Eagles just under 6. So the story of this game was the first half that kept Mahomes off the field. I think Mahomes and company had 6 to 8 minutes of possession time in the first half. I think it was 8. But, yeah, because it was 8 to about 22. So to have the ball 22 minutes of the game, I mean, in the second half, that's honestly where my head was if we cannot get them off the field, not having these long sustained drives, because it seemed like every time the Eagles would get to a third down and convert. And it didn't matter what it was. I'm not sure which one. It was like a 3rd and 14 that they connected on, and that was a Goddard play. So it felt tough for a little while during that game, just watching them just dragging on drives and just dragging the Chiefs defense along with them. It was tough. But the defense pulled through. They made the plays that they needed to make. They made the stops at the end of the game they needed to make. They gave up that big touchdown at the end, obviously. But Chiefs offense just came through. And, you give Patrick Mahomes a football late in the game with a tie game or down by less than a score, you're probably not going to live to tell the tale. It's just not going to happen. Patrick Mahomes is different. And that'll be my next thing I kind of go into. I don't want to hear anyone put anyone else in that conversation. This whole offseason, going into next season, maybe down the stretch next season we can reopen this conversation depending on what happens next year. But there's no one on Patrick Mahomes there's no quarterback on Patrick Mahomes' level. There just isn't. Tier 1, Patrick Mahomes, that's it. That's it in this league. Patrick Mahomes, Tier 1. Tier 2, we can talk about it. We can discuss. Tier 1, that's solidified. Don't mention anyone else's name in Patrick Mahomes. Don't mention anyone else's name in the same sentence you mentioned Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to hear Joe Burrow. I don't want to hear Josh Allen. I don't want to hear Jalen Hurts. I don't want to hear any of them. They're not better. They are not. Patrick Mahomes is one of one in this league right now. And, this is coming from a Homer Chiefs fan, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think all Chiefs fans feel the same way. I know I kind of went over that in some podcast in the last couple of weeks of, talking about the Bengals game. But, it's just, I think all of us Chiefs fans are tired of hearing it. The media and people in general, they want anyone they can to put up there next to Patrick. And they fall on their face when they're met in the moment. So at this point, I mean, I don't think you can argue it. Patrick Mahomes is the best, hands down. He won an MVP. He won a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP. That's never been done. Breaking the curse of the MVP in the Super Bowl. Not only did he break that curse, he also broke the coin toss curse. Because I was a little nervous about that one. As soon as we won the coin toss, I was like, last 8 Super Bowls the coin toss winner had lost. So, including us in there. Losing the coin toss against the 49ers and winning against the Buccaneers. So, overcame all of the adversity. The Chiefs sit on top of the football world. It's good to be a Chiefs fan. It's a good day to be a Chiefs fan. You can start talking about that D word, dynasty. That's us. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are a dynasty at this point. To go to 5 straight AFC championship games, to host all 5 AFC championship games, going to 3 Super Bowls, winning 2 in 4 years. That's dynasty talk, baby. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is honestly, only Tom Brady has done stuff like this. Only Tom Brady. Tom Brady, right at the beginning of his career, he went on the run that he did, and Patrick Mahomes is on a very similar trajectory at this point. So only time will tell what the future holds for this Kansas City Chiefs team, and I'm excited for this offseason, see what Brett Veach is going to do with this offense, with the defense. There's a lot of moving parts going into it, a lot of guys that need a contract, or, that will, the Chiefs will let walk. We'll just have to see, and we're going to get a lot more into that. But the officiating. Officiating is the last thing I kind of want to get into before I wrap this up. I just wanted this to be a quick little reaction, just kind of get some of the emotions out and, get some content out here for you guys. I hope you're enjoying this. We'll stop for a minute and just mention papashrownose.substack.com. If you're not already listening over there, I've got blogs, the whole nine. So if you want to check that out, go give me a subscribe over there. Rate the podcast, whatever you're listening on, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, or Substack. There's that nice little subscribe button you can hit over there. Get email alerts whenever I post a blog or a podcast. Greatly appreciated. Appreciate all the support that I've been getting here in these first few weeks of doing this podcast, and now I've been doing the blog for a little while, so we're just going to keep on rolling. But so now let's get into the officiating. So the officiating in this game I don't think was bad. I was obviously nervous with Carl Sheffers going in after the Monday night debacle early in the season, but I don't think it was terrible. This holding call is going to be talked about for a long time, I'm sure. And already we've heard it all. It's rigged. The fact that players are trolling essentially Bengals fans, for saying that the game is rigged and everything's rigged and we got a script for everything. I mean, I get it. They've never won a Super Bowl. They just got their hearts broke by Patrick Mahomes. It's got to be rigged, right? So this holding call at the end of the game, James Bradbury admitted he held. He was hoping the officials would let it ride. But that's the problem. They let it happen a lot in this game. There was little moments where you could have thrown a flag. There was a moment where, I want to say it was the first quarter, where Juju got turned around, and I'm not sure exactly if that was Bradbury or not. I'll check that out the second time I watch through. But he turned him around, grabbed him by the arm, turned him around to where, Juju couldn't make a play on the ball. And, it's obviously a hold. No call, and that's fine. Let him play. But at the same time, this is the debate. In these big moments, can you let the game be decided by a penalty? Because either way you put it, it's being decided by a penalty. And that's on James Bradbury at the end of the day. That's not on anyone else but the person committing the foul, right? I mean, I just don't understand is we're going to blame the officials for, Bradbury committing a hold. I've seen, back and forth, well, the ball was overthrown. Well, I mean, if he doesn't get held, is it overthrown? I mean, we don't know that. We'll never be able to know. And if it was overthrown, shame on James Bradbury for committing a hold. Because, if that's overthrown and it's, an incompletion, I mean, that changes the trajectory of the whole game. The Chiefs end up getting a touchdown there. Or no, that was the field goal at the end of the game. But they would have had to kick a field goal, and that would have given the Eagles a lot more time, to maneuver the ball down the field and try to at least get a field goal of their own. So, they wouldn't have got the ball back with, 6 seconds left after the kickoff? So I feel like you got to ask yourself, is it the official's fault because the game is being decided by a penalty, or is it, said player's fault? Because, again, James Bradbury shouldn't have committed that hold. But I think at the end of the day, the officials shouldn't have let him get away with that up until that point. Because I don't feel like that was the first time. It looked like on a lot of plays, and I mean, Greg Olsen even pointed it out during the broadcast saying he didn't feel like Lane Johnson was getting a head start. But Lane Johnson was getting a head start all night on the Chiefs pass rush. All night, the refs let that fly. Fine, whatever. Again, you cannot get to these critical moments and have something, you let go all night that is altering the game. I mean, it's very obviously like I'm pretty sure the Juju Smith-Schuster one where he got turned around was a third down and the Chiefs had to punt. That's a big play. Rather than picking up a first down because someone committed a penalty, you're punting the football away. So I just don't know where you go with the officiating, but it has to be more stern in the beginning, because I am way more okay with the refs setting the tone early, first quarter. Let it be known what you're going to call. And, if you're letting guys get away with certain stuff, don't let them go too far, at any point in the game. Then you got to throw the flag. But don't let it get to the fourth quarter, one of the final plays of the game, and now you're throwing a flag because of something that you let go on the entire game. At that point, to me, it's the officiating that causes the problem by not setting the standard early in the game, because you cannot have a game decided on a penalty like that. Either way, the Eagles fan base is going to yell about this all off season, much like the Chiefs fan base would have yelled about it all season if it wouldn't have been called. Because you go back and look at that on the replay, it's very obviously a hold. And we didn't see that in real time. Thought it was a clean play in real time. Didn't look that bad. But you look at the replay. Bradbury grabs him by the jersey on one side and wraps his hand around the other side. I mean, that's a hold all day long. There's no debate whether it's a hold or not. It is. So the officiating, I think it goes back on setting the tone early. And I think that they really need to work hard on that next year, because a lot of these games have been decided in that kind of way where the refs think, well, we got to tighten up here late in the game because you can't let these guys get away with something that's going to affect the entirety of the game. And in doing so, you're still doing something that's affecting the entirety of the game right at the end, because now you're altering what you were doing the first 3 quarters of the football game. So I think at the end of the day, it's an officiating problem. Hats off to James Bradbury for, having that accountability and saying, hey, that's my bad. Much like the Bengals player in the AFC Championship game, Osai, I want to say. If I butchered that name, my bad. But same difference, good for both of them kind of holding themselves accountable, because at the end of the day, they're both penalties. And if you want to say the Kansas City Chiefs won a Super Bowl because of the officials, that's fine. It's a loser's mentality, but that's fine. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think any one of us Chiefs fans really give a damn anymore, because at the end of the day, the Kansas City Chiefs are world champions, baby. The Kansas City Chiefs are number one. The Chiefs are at the top. That flag at the top of the NFL right now, that's a Kansas City Chiefs flag right there, because the Kansas City Chiefs run the NFL right now. This is the dynasty you have to deal with. So make every excuse, lie to yourself, do whatever you got to do so you can sleep at night. Because at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is still at the top of the game. The Kansas City Chiefs are still at the top of the game, still have the greatest tight end of all time, and a defense that's good enough to beat your ass. So let's go Chiefs. Let's have a fun offseason, Chiefs fans. Chiefs Kingdom, it's been real. What a wonderful season. Super Bowl champions. I will be back with more on this game at some point. But again, I just wanted to get the emotions out, have a reaction to this game. It was a great game. Had a great time. I hope you and yours had a great time watching this game as well. It was a fun game. Great game, up and down. And my favorite commercial for the Super Bowl was the heart attack commercial of the rates of, your chances for a heart attack watching your home team. That is not any more true with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs wouldn't have it any other way but to give us a heart attack before they win a Super Bowl. But again, thank you if you're listening to this podcast, reading my blogs, anything. I appreciate the support, and we will be back again. Let's go Chiefs!